This video will be a course tour for our course this summer. This is known as the landing page, the first page you land on when you click on this Blackboard course. And you'll see that we have a welcome video, which is about your math background that you need. So please watch that video to make sure that you feel comfortable staying in a pre-calculus class. And then the next thing you need to address is the course entry quiz. Notice that no lessons show up or homework shows up unless you take this course entry quiz. If you don't take it by May 21st, the system automatically drops you. So I'm going to pretend to take it. I'm just going to answer one question for brevity. You, of course, will answer all of them. And now notice this next thing, the FERPA release shows. The FERPA release basically is two signatures. One says that you know what cheating is and you're not going to do it. And the other says that you've given permission for us to discuss grade specifics via email. So that includes getting back your graded tests. So I have signed the FERPA agreement. Neither one of these count as a grade, and neither one of these count for attendance, by the way. So now that I've done that, notice that two other things have shown up, the Getting Started material and the actual lessons for week 1. So please go through the Getting Started material because there is a quiz on it, and that will count for a quiz grade. You'll find that in the week 1 folder. So if we look through here, it gives you information on the amount of time you can expect per week to spend on this class. Remember, it's a condensed 16-week class in 8 weeks, so it's going to be pretty hefty. Clicking through this next panel shows the equipment and software. So WebAssign, our class is linked to WebAssign, and that's where you're going to be doing your homework and quizzes. We also use a supplement, the lab manual, which I'll talk about a little bit later in this class. And the lessons in the lab manual correspond to the interactive lessons in our Blackboard class. WebAssign contains a link to the ebook, OpenStax Pre-Calculus. And then you'll be graphing, since this is an online class, with Desmos. It's an online graphing calculator, and it's very user-friendly. Our tests are not computer-based, so you won't be using that on the tests. If you need a calculator on the test, you can bring a non-graphing calculator, and we'll talk more about that as well. If you need to be an MAT 01P, hopefully you already were made aware of that by the time you registered. This is just a little bit of faculty information. There's more faculty information here from this blue button. It contains my office hours. So this course is not self-paced. Quizzes are due every Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. That ends a week. And the next week starts on Wednesdays. So on Wednesday, new content will be put out, and new quizzes will be made available, and new lessons. So all that is gone over in the calendar, which we'll get to in a minute. Attendance is taken based on your WebAssign quizzes, so you need to do 2 attendance events per week, and there are at least 2 quizzes per week assigned in WebAssign. 1 week there's actually 3, but the rest of the weeks in the class there are 2. So that's how you are counted as present. There will be 2 or 3 quizzes a week, like I had said. They're all due on Tuesdays. The way the quizzes in WebAssign are set up is you get 3 attempts per question, and WebAssign will automatically calculate your highest score for the quiz. And I will be recording the WebAssign quiz averages in our Blackboard gradebook. So your grade will actually be kept in Blackboard, so you can see your running grade at all times. Our unit tests are paper and pencil. They're proctored in our e-learning testing centers. There's one in each campus. And the way to sign up for these tests is with this tool, Smarter Proctoring, which we'll talk about a little bit later. You need to make sure that you have these testing windows. There's 3 written tests in this class and a written final exam. Make sure you have availability because the tests are only available for a 2-day window. Tests cannot be made up in this class. You can drop your lowest grade and it can be replaced by the final exam. You cannot drop more than 1 test. I'll have a weekly discussion board. It's not graded, but it's to get help and to give help on the material for the week. You will have homework assignments in WebAssign as well. They're called practice quizzes. They're not counted toward a grade and they're not due, but they are highly recommended. You don't just go in and game the WebAssign quizzes until you get a right answer, because then you don't learn anything. And finally, this is our grade distribution. The proctored unit tests are worth 22% each. The proctored final exam is worth 25%, and WebAssign is worth 9%. So everything there I've gone through. So now I can go and look at the first week's lesson. So I'll click in the week 1 folder. And each week, a weekly checklist will be included. And it's a Word document in case you wanted to print it off and actually check off things. So for this week, it tells you to do the course entry quiz, the getting started materials, what your attendance requirements are, and all the folders in Blackboard that you should be going into and covering, and the quizzes. There is a quiz on the getting started material that's also due this Tuesday. This is the only time you'll have another type of quiz besides a WebAssign quiz, and this is graded as well. There are a couple of videos on Desmos and just how the lab manual works with the interactive lessons. And then finally here we have the actual content for the class. So let's click in one of these. So interpreting graphs is one of the topics that we're going to go over. And in each of these folders there will be a link like this, which is called the interactive lesson. And these lessons correlate to lessons by the same name and headings by the same name in that lab manual. So this is where you will actually be getting the content delivered. Each week you'll have a lab manual lesson that correlates to the section in the lab manual that correlated to this lesson. And so the keys are here for you. PowerPoints are just some additional resources and links to the open source textbook. So here is the link to your WebAssign homework system. And I think that's because I'm not a real student. WebAssign, it's going to look like this. So you'll see that when you enter, you're going to get a message up here saying that you have a 2-week trial period. So you have 2 weeks before you have to actually buy WebAssign, and I go over that in the Getting Started material. So here you see the quizzes that are due. These are the quizzes for a grade and when they're due. And you'll see these homeworks are available all semester. And these just-in-time assignments are prerequisite assignments that give you a review for material that's in these quizzes in case you are rusty on the prerequisite topics. So you can expect a weekly folder like this for the next few weeks, 8 weeks to be exact. So I want to show you a few of these other things in the course. So this is where you would access those weekly discussion boards. This is a link to the calendar in the course, and that shows how the topics in the Blackboard folders correlate to the WebAssign quizzes and the just-in-time prerequisite assignments that go along with it by week. There is also a tool called Smarter Proctoring, and that is where you register to take your tests at the e-learning testing center. Because I'm not a student, I'm not going to see the same things that you would see, so I'm not going to bother going through those links. And finally, I wanted to show you the lab manual. So this is actually the course resources area, and that PDF is right here. But the lab manual correlates to those lessons in Blackboard. And any problems in the lab manual are assigned every week. So for example, in that first lesson that I showed you before, Interpreting Graphs 2, this directs you to do the lab manual lesson that corresponds to Interpreting Graphs 2. And you'll see that there are problems to be filled in, and it's more of guided notes and homework problems and additional problems. So the lab manual is actually the heart of the class more than the textbook. That is something that's a little different about this class, so keep that in mind. And I think I've covered everything, so thank you for watching our little tour, and I look forward to working with you.